Angela couldn't breathe. She wanted to scream, but what would it change? All she could do was sit there and watch Chisom slowly fade from the inside. The next morning, the woman in the wrapper came with food again. Same plastic bag. Same silence. She glanced at Chisom briefly, then dropped the nylon and left. Angela watched her leave, then looked at the food. She didn't touch it. Neither did Chisom. The girl hadn't moved since dawn. She was breathing, but just barely. Angela sat beside her, holding her hand, saying nothing. She wasn't comforting her. She was learning. This place, this nightmare, didn't need guns or shouting to destroy someone. It only needed time, fear, and quiet decisions are made behind closed doors. Angela knew now she had one night left, one last chance. If she failed, she might end up like Chisom, alive, but in pieces. The walls were too quiet that day. Angela had stopped eating. Even the rice they brought that morning, plain, cold, and dry, stayed untouched. She sat by the edge of the bed, her hands locked together, her heart heavy, her eyes empty. Chisom hadn't spoken in almost 24 hours. Her body was there, but her spirit was drifting. Angela looked at the ceiling. Tears dropped without a sound. For the first time, she didn't think of escape. She just whispered, not loud, not bold, just a small, cracked voice. God, if you're still watching me, please, I don't want to die like this. She sniffed, wiped her face, and kept whispering, I know I'm not perfect. I don't even pray like before, but please, I need help, even if it's just a sign. She said nothing else, and the room stayed quiet. Hours passed. Then something strange happened. The cleaner came in, the same woman who mopped the corridors every morning, dragging her old blue bucket and tattered mop across the cold tiles. Angela had seen her many times, but never noticed her properly. But today, something felt different. The woman didn't hum like she used to. She didn't bend her head. She kept staring, not rudely, just intentionally. Their eyes met. Angela's chest tightened. The woman bent near the bed. Her mop dragged softly, tracing water over the floor, but her hand reached her side. She dropped something folded paper, slid it under the leg of Angela's bed, then walked out like nothing happened. Angela sat still, waited, listened. When the corridor was quiet again, she bent down and picked up the paper. It was torn from a diary, folded twice. She opened it with shaky hands. The writing was rough, rushed like someone wrote it in fear. I used to be like you. Picked up from a bus stop in Aba. That was 2 years ago. They took from me, but I survived. I agreed to stay and clean so they won't take more. I know where the weak door is. Tomorrow morning I'll come again. Don't speak. Just follow my eye. Angela's hand trembled. She read it 3 times. The last line at the bottom said, There's a place by the road in Obili that helps victims. If you make it out, go there. Ask for Mama Ifeoma's shed. They will not ask questions. Angela folded the paper quickly and hid it under her wrapper. She couldn't cry again. She had no tears left. But her chest felt full, not with fear, but something else. Could this be what she asked for? Could this woman be the answer? Angela waited. That night, the food came as usual. The guard sat in his plastic chair. The nurse checked vitals, but none of them noticed the way Angela kept watching the floor, waiting for the mop. And by dawn it came. The cleaner entered again. Same clothes, same bucket, same blank face. But today, when she entered the room, she nodded once. Angela stood, walked to the bucket, and pretended to wash her hands. The woman leaned close. "You move when I give you a sign," she whispered under her breath. "Your soul must be strong. Don't look back." Angela nodded once. The woman continued mopping. Angela returned to the bed, sat still, and prayed inside her heart. "God, if this is you, I'm listening. I'll follow. Just carry me through." Chisom opened her eyes briefly. Angela squeezed her hand. "I'll come back for you," she whispered. She wasn't sure if Chisom heard, but she believed it anyway. Angela stood again. The cleaner was at the doorway now. She gave a sharp look, a quick turn of the head. That was the signal. Angela followed, step by step, past the corridor, past the resting guard who had dozed off, his chin resting on his chest. The woman didn't rush. She didn't speak. She just walked like she belonged there. And Angela walked behind like she was invisible. They turned a corner, opened a side gate smaller, rusted. The woman held it slightly open. "You'll run straight, don't turn." Angela looked at her. What's your name?" The woman smiled faintly. "I used to be Ngozi. Now I'm just the cleaner." Angela's eyes watered again. "Thank you." "Don't thank me. Just survive," the cleaner said. Angela stepped out, and the gate closed behind her. Angela didn't look back. The air outside the gate smelled like earth and sweat thick with bush scent and silence. But she kept going, barefoot, breathing hard. Her wrapper was torn at the bottom. Her legs were already scratched by grass. Still, she ran. She remembered what the cleaner told her before letting her out. "Follow the narrow path with palm trees. You'll see a broken wooden bridge. Don't cross it. Turn left. Keep going. There's a black tie nailed to a tree. Mama Ifeoma's shed is just past it." Angela replayed the words over and over in her head as her feet slapped the dry ground. But before she reached the first palm tree, she heard it. Voices behind her. Their running feet. They had noticed. The chase had begun. Angela didn't stop, didn't scream, didn't cry. She bent forward and ran faster. Bushes scraped her arms. Thorns grabbed at her wrapper. Her chest burned. Her breath came in broken gasps. But she didn't stop. They would not take her back. She reached the broken bridge just like the woman said. She didn't pause. She turned left sharply and ran into the thicker part of the bush. Branches whipped her face. Her legs ached. Then she heard them closer. "Check that side. She can't be far." Angela's heart nearly jumped out of her chest. She dropped to the ground and crawled under a low shrub. She pressed her face into the soil and stayed still. Footsteps passed nearby, then paused. Someone sniffed the air like a dog. Angela didn't move, didn't breathe. Then the footsteps faded. Minutes passed. Her entire body was shaking. She waited until the birds began to chirp again, then stood slowly and ran. Not as fast now her legs were failing, but forward. Always forward. And then she saw it. The black tire was nailed to a tree, just like the cleaner said. Angela nearly collapsed from relief. She pushed through one more line of grass, and there it was, a small wooden shed tucked behind two plantain trees. No signboard, no people, just quiet. She ran to it and knocked weakly. The door opened halfway. An elderly woman stood there, wrapper tied tightly around her waist, scarf on her head, face full of suspicion. Angela opened her mouth, but no words came. She just fell to her knees. The woman didn't ask questions. She pulled her inside, locked the door, turned off the small kerosene lamp by the window. Angela was safe. For now. Hours passed. The woman, Mama Ifeoma, gave her water, bread, a blanket. She didn't ask where Angela came from. She didn't need to. She had seen it before. Angela sat on the mat, body trembling, eyes wide. Then she asked for a phone. She just wanted to make one call. She dialed a number she hadn't called in over a year, her cousin's. Michael. He stayed in Oberley. She hoped that he would help her. He picked the first ring. Hello? Angela's voice cracked. It's me! There was a short silence. Then he spoke. Angela? Is this a joke? No, it's me. I escaped, she replied. She heard movement on his end. Where are you? Your brother has been looking for you. We thought... I can't explain now. I need you to come, she spoke hastily. 2 hours later, a bike dropped Michael near the main road, and Mama Ifeoma walked him through the bush quietly. When he saw Angela, he didn't speak. He just hugged her tightly. Later, as they sat under the plantain tree, Angela told him everything slowly, shakily, with long pauses. Michael, a known vigilante in their village, clenched his fist. We know about them, he said. But the people behind it. He stopped. Angela understood. In Nigeria, justice sometimes ends where power begins. They always escape, he said, staring into the trees. They always do. Angela didn't reply. She just looked up at the sky. Then Michael said, I'm taking you far, past the town, past the road you were picked from. She nodded. She didn't want to argue. They left before dawn. He got a bike, rode her far into town, into a quiet street with small buildings and few people. He gave her a phone. A new one. Angela didn't speak much. She didn't look at anyone. She didn't get on any bus. Not even Okada. She waited in a corner shop for 2 days. Until she reached her brother. When he heard her voice, he wept like a child. He had buried her in his mind. Now she was back. But not the same. Angela had seen something. Survived something, and now all she wanted was to warn others before it was too late. Angela didn't speak about it for weeks, not even to her brother, not even to herself. She would wake up in the middle of the night, hand pressed to her ribs, thinking she was still in that small white room with the red door. Sometimes she would sit on the tiled floor of the bathroom just to be sure no one was watching. The trauma followed her like a quiet shadow, but something else stayed too. And Chisom's eyes, that weak, broken voice that said, they'll keep me around as long as I stay useful. Angela carried that voice with her until one day she decided it had to mean something. She wrote everything down. She didn't post online, nor share in public. She found a small radio station in town, the kind that ran evening shows and allowed anonymous stories to be shared. She didn't give her real name. She didn't mention specific names or locations. She just said, "This is my story. I entered a bus one evening, and I was never the same." The host paused, then said softly, "Thank you for your courage. You are not alone." That night, something changed. Angela thought maybe 10 people heard it. But by the next day, she started receiving calls, not from the police, but from ordinary women, market women, teachers, nurses, girls who said, "I know someone who never came back. My cousin was last seen at the park. My sister entered a similar bus 2 years ago." And then came the call from the NGO, a women-led organization based in Anambra that had been trying to trace a missing student from Orca. Her name was on their report. It was Chisom, the same Chisom. They asked Angela everything. Angela told them all she could. The cleaner, the building, the vent, the road with no gate. She even drew the map the cleaner described. She didn't think it would lead anywhere, but it did. 2 weeks later, a quiet raid happened in the early hours of the morning. There was no sirens, no crowd, just soft footsteps in the bush. They found 4 people alive. The cleaner, 2 boys, 1 older woman, all too weak to run. All need urgent medical attention. But Chisom, she didn't make it. They said she passed 2 days before the raid. Her family never came for her. They couldn't because she was missing. The Ngos retrieved her body to her family and she was buried quietly, with respect. When Angela found out, she broke down. She didn't leave her room for 3 days. But Mama Ifeoma came. She sat beside her, comforting her. "She didn't die for nothing. She kept you strong, and your voice saved others," she comforted. Angela nodded through tears. That day, she made peace with the fact that justice doesn't always come the way we expect. But healing comes in layers. Months passed. Angela didn't go back to tailoring immediately. She stayed indoors, went for counseling, learned how to breathe again. The radio station invited her for a panel. This time, she went, face uncovered, voice steady. She spoke for the girls who never returned. She spoke for the cleaner who traded her freedom to save strangers. She spoke for herself. Slowly, her life returned. She started sewing again. Not by the roadside, but in a small shop with 1 table and a window. It was quiet but safe. Customers came often. She smiled more, but she was still cautious, still watching, but healing. One afternoon, a young girl entered her shop. "I heard your story," she said softly. "My sister almost entered a similar bus last week, but she remembered your words." She walked away. Angela smiled, not wide, but real. That night, she lit a candle in her room, sat in silence, and whispered, "Thank you for not forgetting me, for using even my pain to protect someone else. Because sometimes the ones who escape are not just lucky. They become light for the ones still trapped in the dark." Angela sat in the waiting room of the small private hospital on the outskirts of Orca. The walls were cream-coloured. The nurse at the desk was humming a gospel tune softly under her breath. The ceiling fan squeaked every 10 seconds. The building smelled like Dettol and hot afternoon sun. Angela's palms were sweating. She hadn't returned here to feel safe. She had returned for something else. Closure, healing, maybe even peace. The NGO had informed her that the cleaner Ngozi had recovered enough to receive visitors. Angela hadn't hesitated. She carried a bag with oranges, biscuits, a small wrapper, and a Bible, the same Bible her mother had given her years ago, with her name written inside. Angela Chiniere, the child who brings comfort. When the nurse finally called her in, Angela stood. Her legs trembled a little, but she walked through the corridor anyway. The room was simple, clean. 2 beds, 1 fan, 1 old TV on mute. Ngozi sat by the window, facing the light. Her head was wrapped in a scarf. Her frame had shrunk, but her eyes, they were steady. Angela stepped in slowly. Ngozi turned. For a second, they just looked at each other. Then Ngozi smiled. Small, tired, but real. You made it, she said. Angela nodded, tears already filling her eyes. You saved me, she replied. Ngozi looked away. I saved a part of myself too. Angela sat beside her and placed the Bible in her lap. I prayed that day, she said, not out loud, not with strength, but I begged God. Ngozi nodded. I know, she said. I was once that girl too. Angela reached into the bag, unwrapped the small wrapper, and gently covered Ngozi's legs. You've done enough, she whispered. Ngozi looked down. Her fingers brushed the soft fabric. Are the others okay? Angela asked. Ngozi nodded slowly. The boys are still in shock. The older woman barely speaks, but they're alive. Angela closed her eyes. And Chisom? Ngozi's eyes fell. She was too far gone. Silence filled the room. Angela didn't cry this time. She just bowed her head and whispered, May her soul rest in peace. Then she added, I named my new shop after her. Ngozi blinked. Chisholm's Needle. Angela smiled faintly. I want people to ask me who she was, so I'll tell them. She was a girl who never gave up, not even with her last breath. Ngozi covered her mouth and turned away. A nurse entered with a file. Angela stood. I'll come again, she said. Ngozi touched her hand. No matter how far you go, she said, don't forget why God spared you. Angela nodded. I'll never forget. Outside the hospital, Angela stood by the mango tree near the gate. The sun was hot, but the breeze was kind. She brought out her Bible and opened it to Psalm 91. She didn't read it aloud. She just let her eyes move slowly through the verses. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. She closed her eyes. Back then, when she sat on that cold bed in that silent room with the red door, she had felt forgotten. But now, standing here, she knew she had never been alone, even when her mouth could not pray. Her heart had cried, and heaven had listened. Weeks later, Angela returned to her small shop in a quiet part of town. She never opened near the junction again. She still avoided public buses. She still flinched when footsteps came too fast behind her. But she was healing. Each stitch she made brought her closer to normal. Customers returned. A few recognized her voice from the radio. They didn't ask too many questions. They just called her Madam Angela. Sometimes, young girls came in apprentices. Students, strangers, asking for advice, or just sitting in silence. She always gave them something. Water, a word, a look that said, "You matter. Stay alert, stay alive." Every Sunday, Angela wore white, not for style, but for remembrance. White, to remind herself that she came out clean from a place soaked in shadows. She didn't tell everyone her story, but she told it to the right one. And every time she walked past a bus park, her steps slowed. She'd look around, eyes sharp, and whisper to herself, "I am still here." Because survival in this country is not just about luck, it's about grace. It's about instinct. And sometimes it's about one stranger, one whisper, one prayer that saves everything.